Today I'm answering the question, what is a zone defense? And I'm going to do this by really just going over some of the common zone defenses and just describe what happens during a zone defense or what makes up a zone defense, just to give you a better idea. What I have on the board here is probably the most basic zone defense, which is called the 2-3 zone. And just for your edification, and so you know, um, how zone defenses are labeled is they're always labeled by numbers. So so whatever's on the top numbers, the number of people on the top would be the first part of the name of the zone. So in this case, there's two defenders up top, so it would be a 2, and then there's 3 defenders down low, so it would be a 2-3 zone. If this was a 3-2 zone, you would have 3 defenders up top with with 2 defenders down low. If this was a 2-1-2, it would be 2 defenders up top, 1 defender in the middle, 2 down below. If this was a let's say a 1-3-1, you would have 1 up top, 3 in the middle, 1 down below. So I'm breaking this down by first starting off with the 2-3 zone. But before I do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel if you like content like this. I try to make a lot of videos about how to coach basketball teams, all youth basketball teams, a lot about travel basketball. So do me that favor and hit the subscribe button. That'll really help me out. So here we go. The 2-3 zone, really easy to teach for your players. There are some weaknesses in the 2-3 zone, and that would be, up here in your wings. Obviously, it's possible to cover it, but they definitely have that. Also have the high post, which can become vulnerable. And with any zone defense, is you're going to have your vulnerabilities are going to be when the offense swings or reverses the basketball to the other corner, because everybody does in fact move in a zone to wherever the basketball is. So, and that's kind of the idea of a zone, right? Like they're covering down on their zones. So when the basketball's in the corner on a 2-3 zone, or any zone, all the players are going to be locked up on that side. And if the ball gets reversed, which can happen very quickly in basketball, you are going to see everybody move. And that's how zone defenses are broken down. But they can be very helpful in stopping a good team that drives in a lot. That's one of the main reasons why teams will use the zone defense. So breaking down now that we've went over the 2-3 zone, I want to jump into the 3-2 zone and just talk briefly about that. So the 3-2 zone, as I mentioned before, is 3 offensive players up top and your 2 bigs down below. In most of these zone defenses, you're going to put your big players down below to protect the rim, with an exception on a few. But for the 3-2 zone, you're keeping those bigs down here. You can change it obviously, but where your gaps are or where your weaknesses are, your vulnerabilities for a 3-2 zone, if you haven't already figured it, it's going to be in your corners. So as you can see, nobody's in the corner. So how do you cover down on that? Well, just like in a 2-3 zone, the person down below is going to cover down on that, and everyone's going to shift down. So you still have the same vulnerabilities in the 3-2 zone that you have in the 2-3 zone, which is a quick, ball reversal can shift your defense. So as you can see, they're moving that ball quickly. Everybody is rotating very easily. Now that we've went over the 3-2 zone. And before I jump into the next one, do me a favor. Go down in the comments section and tell me which one of these zone defenses you would like to see a video on, and I can break this down for you. The one that we get the most, I'll break it down, and we'll be able to cover on that zone defense. So which one do you want to hear about? All right, the next one I'm going to go over is the 1-3-1 zone. This one's a little bit more complicated. I really enjoy running this with teams that practice it a lot. But essentially, it's the same thing. It's set up with one defender up top, 3 defenders here in the middle, and then 1 defender down low. Now, can anyone take a guess where the weaknesses are? That's right. It's in the corners. And, there are ways to break up this zone defense really well if you've got an experienced team, where you're, scoring right here in the paint. But this defense can be very effective if your team practices it a lot and just puts a lot of time and energy into it. This can be a very active defense, and I'll briefly kind of go over it with you. It can be almost a full court press on this thing, and just real fast. Where you put your people is super important on this, and I'll go over it, in like 5 seconds or less. But you basically have, a basketball player who's going to be able to run up and down the court with the offense and keep them on the side. You want the ball always on the side, one of the sides for this defense. And you want to use the entire team to make that happen. And then you want to have probably your quickest, most athletic player here. And this player is really running sideline to sideline. So when that ball gets in the corner, this guy's got to be able to get there. And then they got to be able to get back if it gets reversed. And you really, with any zone defense or really with man, you don't want the ball. You want to keep the ball on one side of the court, right? You don't want the ball going to the other side. You want it, one side, get it down to that trap area. But so with the 1-3-1, this player is keeping the ball on one side of the court, and then you can set up traps with everybody obviously relocating to wherever they're supposed to be. And, so you're looking to set traps, or you're looking to get the ball into the corner so that you can effectively trap. This can be a very effective defense, and you can do it a couple different ways, as with the 2-3, the 3-2, and the 1-3-1. These are the 3 zones that I wanted to use today to give you an example of what is a zone defense. I'm looking forward to reading in your comments below which one I should break down step by step on. There are other things that I could have mentioned in this video, such as the different settings you can do on your zone defense, extending it out, running it more half court press. But I wanted to make sure that folks knew what a zone defense was, and this is really what a zone defense is. So looking forward to the next video.